dear students, and welcome to our 7th functional English lecture. So today we are going to see some topics that will involve spellings and punctuations. If you've seen the previous lecture where we studied word formations, okay, in this lecture we'll understand the different rules when it comes to spellings. Okay, we'll understand some differences between British English and American English, and we'll see some rules about punctuations. Okay, why punctuations are important and how we need to use the different punctuation marks effectively. Okay, so let's begin. When you actually speak about written communication per se, the biggest impression downer is the spelling words. And in spite of having technology and in spite of having spell checks, still typos, still grammatical errors happen. And obviously in a professional environment, when you're drafting a mail and you shoot a mail and if it's filled with grammatical errors, it will not only impact your impression but also the impression of your company. Okay, so we need to proofread whatever we send out. We need to understand certain basic rules. Okay, now we are not looking at perfection per se, but at least we need to be alert and we need to ensure that whatever communication, even in our verbal communication as well as our non-verbal communication, especially when we're drafting letters and you're sending out quotations, errors need to be avoided. And if you are unsure, it's always request a senior to cross-check before you send out the final mailer. Okay. So here we're discussing about making an impression. This is a big letdown when it comes to articulating or spellings, basic spellings. Now, the reason for that is you cannot blame the student, you cannot blame the professional. Sometimes, words are pronounced in such a manner and they sound the same. So obviously, you end up spelling the word in the same manner. We saw in our previous lecture when we were speaking about, you understand words that sound the same, words that are spelled the same, the meanings are different. We looked at homophone, we looked at homographs, we looked at synonyms, we looked at antonyms. So obviously, there is a lot of variation, there is a lot of permutation combination when it comes to, usage of words. So we need to be a little alert and actually understand things in context before jotting it down or before articulating something. So here, there are a couple of examples which you can see here. Is one is saying seen and the other seen. Yeah? So sounds the same, but the spellings are worlds apart. Okay? And rain and rain. So rain, we're talking about weather, and rain means somebody ruling a kingdom. Okay? So bottom line is practice. Okay? Regular practice and regular awareness of what are the words and how you're using them, and ensuring that the usage is correct. So basic rules we'll see, and we'll understand with a few examples. Okay? The first rule is doubling the final consonant. So words which have one syllable, like for example in the bracket here you have get or run. Okay? Now they are ending with the consonant sound, and you have one single vowel before it. So T being the consonant sound and E being the vowel sound. Okay. So you need to double the final consonant before adding a suffix that starts with a vowel like ing or ed. So we'll see with some examples. Yeah. So get. Okay. So consonant sound T and you're adding the suffix ing. So that gets you getting. We'll see the next example. Again, run, n being the consonant sound and u being the vowel sound. Here, e being the vowel sound. So running. Okay. So you're adding the suffix here. Next example, planning, okay. Planning. So you hear the vowel sound and hear the consonant sound. So looking at the vowel sound E, U, A, and the consonant sound T, N, N. So here you're doubling the consonant sound before putting in the suffix. So again, T, doubling the consonant sound here, N again doubling, and then afterwards the suffix. Stopped becomes stopped. So double consonant sound. So in case there are two syllable words and the stress is on the second syllable, again it will apply. So here you have begin becomes beginning and transfer becomes transferring. Okay. Now the second rule, words ending in E. So the final E in a word is a bit like a chameleon. So it is hidden and sometimes you may not be able to distinguish it. So you look at the rule here. Now, when the suffix starts with a vowel, you usually drop the E. We'll see with an example, so you'll get clarity. So live becomes living. So here, where the vowel is there, E, we're dropping the E. So directly we use the suffix. Make, making. Love plus able. So again, we've dropped the E. So if the suffix starts with a consonant, you usually keep the E. Hope plus full, hopeful. So here, F being the consonant sound, so we are retaining the E. Move plus meant, movement. So we are keeping the E. Nicely. Again here, we are keeping the E because the suffix is starting with a consonant sound. So again here you see the suffix starting with the vowel sound, I, A. So we are dropping the E. And here, where it is starting with the consonant sound, we are retaining the E. So words ending with Y. So if a word ends in Y and a consonant comes before it, the Y changes to an I when you add a suffix. Okay? So cry becomes cried. So you're adding the I, replacing Y with I. Yeah. Try, tried, I. So Y being replaced by I because the consonant sound is coming before it. Yeah. Pity, full. Yeah. Pitiful. So we're dropping the Y and adding the I. So if a vowel comes before the Y, then the Y stays the same. Okay, so we'll see some examples. So play, A, the vowel is coming before Y, so we are retaining the Y. So play becomes played, we're just adding ED. Enjoy, yeah, the vowel is coming before the consonant, so we are adding ING. Yeah, we're retaining the Y. So here again, you understand? So consonant before the Y, yeah, we're replacing the Y with I. And here the vowel before the Y, so we are retaining that. Okay. The fourth rule, words with IE and EI. So here the common rule is, it's a rhyme which you need to remember, I before E except after C. So I before E, believe, achieve, field. Okay, I is before E, that's the rule. E before I after C. E before I after C. So here C, so E is before I. Here I is before E. So I before E except after C. So wherever there is C, that is the exception. The E will be before I. The exception to the rule is when the sound is an A, like in neighbor, way. So the sound is A, so that is where E will be before I. Otherwise, always I will be before E. So we look at some differences between American and British spelling. Now, see, you can use either, whichever you feel is comfortable. There is no hard and fast rule. But we'll just see, at least you need to know the basic differences. That this is British English and this is American English. Okay. So words ending in OR, that would be American OR, and words ending with OUR, that would be British. Yeah. For example, color, that is American, and COLOUR, British. So either you use color or color, doesn't matter. Okay. Humor, American, and humor, British. Okay. And words ending in ER, that would be American, and often ending with RE would be British. So we'll see some examples and you'll get clarity there. Yeah. So center, that's American, and center, RE, that's British. Theater and theater. So normally whenever you're drafting something and something goes for autocorrect, chances are that it will prompt you for the American spelling. So you see theater, that's American, and theater, RE, that's British. Look at American versus British spelling. Look at some examples. Color, color. American, analyze, S. Center, center. Defense, defense, CE. Traveled, traveled. Program, program. So these are all British spelled words. Theater, theater. Jewelry, jewelry. Dialogue, dialogue. DIALOGU. Gray and gray. Okay. Mold, MOULD. Maneuver, maneuver. License and license. Cozy, cozy. So we see the use of Z. Yeah, Z. Americans prefer to use Z, Z. Yeah, and here S. We're talking about the British using S. Yeah, draft and draft. Now we'll see vocabulary differences between English and American English. Yeah, an American would say apartment, British would say flat. Even we use flat. We will never refer to apartments. Yeah, but in the broader context, sometimes we use apartments, but we always say a flat number, so and so. The Americans will say elevator. Yeah, we'll say lift. That's British English. Vacation, holiday. Pants, trousers. Okay. Truck, lorry. Gasoline, petrol. French fries, chips. Okay. The Americans would say French fries, and the British would say chips. Fish and chips. Yeah, they're famous traditional dish. Okay. Chips. The British would say crisps. What we call chips, the British would say crisps. Cookie, they would say biscuit. Sweater, the British would say jumper. Sidewalk, pavement. We still use British English most of the places. You will identify with the British terminology, with the British words. The Americans would say closet, the British would say cupboard, which we use. Diaper and nappy. Mail and post. Drugstore, the Americans would say drugstore, we say chemist, and we still use chemist. Small exercise for you. Just glance at this and just select the correctly spelled word. Just a test of your spelling. Just see the 4 options and choose which is the word that is spelled correctly. Inflammatory, 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 and inflammatory. The correct answer is option A. Look at this, the second exercise. Spatial, 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 and spatial. Which is the correct spelling as per you? Spatial, option A. Look at the third one. Marriageable, marriageable, manageable. Okay, when you spell, the pronunciation nearly sounds the same, but look at the spellings. Which as per you is the correct option? Option B. Okay. Manageable. Let's look at the fourth one. Souvenir, souvenir, or souvenir. Yeah, correct. Option A. Souvenir. Look at the fifth one. Temperature, temperature, or temperature. Yeah, this is easy. Yeah, option A, the first one. Okay. So 5 if you got all correct, great. And the sixth one. Incident, incident. Yeah. So option A as well as option D. The spellings are the same. Yeah, that's the correct option. Okay. Seventh one. Harassment, or harassment. Option A. Double S. Okay. Yeah, okay. This one would be a little confusing. Yeah, welcome. Option A. Okay. Some of you would select the second one as well, but that is incorrect. Okay. Two separate words. You can only use the first option. Ninth one, definite, which is the correct spelling. Definite. Yeah, and the last one, ecstasy, which is the correct spelling. Yeah, option A, ECSTAS1, ecstasy. Okay. Now the next exercise, you just need to point out the wrongly spelled words. The first exercise is selecting the correct spelled words. Yeah, one word out would be multiple wrong words. Look at the first one, pompous, populous, prejudiced, pretentious. So point out the wrongly spelled word. Option D, pretentious. Okay. Second one, dispose of, denote. This is the correct, which is the wrong word here, wrongly spelled word. Yeah, B, deposer. There is no such word as deposer. Again, wrongly spelled word. Option B and option C. Third one. Except for the first, all three are incorrect. Except for the first, all B, C, D are incorrect. Again, ecstasy. The first one is correct, the other three options are incorrect. Look at this. Exemplary, envious, and excellence. Option B is the incorrect word. Casual, candid, conversant, and convocant. So D, option D. There's no such word as convocant. What is the importance of punctuation? First point is for clarity and for understanding. So why we need clarity? Because we need to comprehend and we need context. So that is where punctuation helps. You understand if somebody is excited, somebody is sad, and if you use the right punctuation, automatically the mood is set. You understand what is the tone of the message or what the author is trying to convey. Yeah, so clarity and understanding. And then yes, one important aspect is sentence structure. Okay, so if your sentences are not drafted in a proper manner, there will be a lot of ambiguity in your messaging, and somebody may misinterpret your language. So okay, sentence structure, because keeping things in context. So punctuation marks like commas, semicolons, and colons, they establish sentence structure, and we will guide your readers through the flow of ideas. So we understand what is the flow of what the message is being conveyed, what the author is trying to convey, because that is how you write. Because you write as though you're speaking to your audience in that manner. That is where you articulate and when you draft your words and draft your sentences. Then conveying emphasis and tone. Yeah. So as I said earlier, an exclamation point conveys excitement, while a period suggests neutrality. Placement of commas and semicolons also affect rhythm and tone, directing the reading pace. Yeah. So we know when there is a comma, there's a short pause, and when there is a full stop, there is a long pause. So obviously you can pace your reading accordingly. Differentiating ideas. So when you're quoting a list or you're quoting somebody, when you're using close quotes or brackets or hyphenated words, everything will help you differentiate your idea or differentiate your message. So the interpreter, whoever's reading that, gets the right message. Quoting and attribution. So when to use quotation marks, when not to use quotation marks, yeah, those are important because if you're giving credits, if you want emphasis to be on a particular sentence, that is where you use single quotes or double quotes. It differs based on the matter that you're drafting. Yeah. So the main point is punctuation will help you avoid ambiguity. And when I say ambiguity, it's like if you're conveying a message to one person and if you're sitting before that person, face to face, it becomes easy to communicate because it's not only your verbal, conversation that is being interpreted, but also your oral body language. But you understand when you're texting or when you're sending, a mail or some written material across, there could be a lot of scope for misinterpretation, and this will lead to a lot of miscommunication and misunderstandings may take place. So to avoid that, to avoid any kind of ambiguity, because you understand English words and English sentences, anyone can interpret it in their own different manner. So obviously we want to reduce that. It may not be 100%, but at least you want to reduce it to the maximum. That is where your message gets across without it getting distorted. So ambiguity is the right choice of words where somebody may not misinterpret it into something else. Professionalism and credibility. So proper punctuation, it gives the right impression. It shows that the person is educated, person knows what he's talking about, and person is well read or has researched on the topic. All that messaging goes across, and it adds value. It kind of increases your credibility in the industry, in the market, because at least people would like to interact with somebody who is well versed, who's a professional. So you don't expect somebody who's claiming to be a professional, and then when they send something across to you in form of documentation or any kind of written communication, and you read the first two sentences, then you understand where is this person done his basic education from, and then compliance with conventions. So when you talk about compliance, you're following some protocol, you're following some rules. Yeah? Some rules, you can bypass or you can skip, but most of the rules you need to follow because then obviously everything will go haywire. So you need to follow some basic rules, and maybe it may not be very important. Like if you skip also, there is nothing. But when you're talking about being professional, that is where you try to follow compliance. So you maintain that level of professionalism, at least when it comes. And when you talk about communication, communication is everything. Today it's not possible to interact with people, on a face-to-face kind of scenario. So most of your communication is either through mail or either through chat or maybe over a call or something. So all these things matter, especially when you're sending out a lot of material online in text form. So that is where you need to follow some basic compliance. Impact on writing quality. So when you talk about making an impression, the quality of your writing matters, the choice of your vocabulary matters, how impressive, how expressive you are in your written material will ensure that the audience connects with you. So that is where when you're doing any kind of ad campaign, any kind of branding, you need to ensure that the quality of your written documentation or whatever you're putting out in written form is top notch. That's why today now we have good software, we have good AI, so we have a lot of technology available to us. So the scope of error reduces, the margin for error reduces drastically. So I always give the example of a newspaper. Let's say if you're getting the Times of India or the Economics Times. So even before they publish the article, like once you receive the newspaper, you take a magnifying glass also and check. It's very rare that you'll find a mistake, especially a grammatical mistake, because by multiple times it is proofread. If somebody has written an article, that person has checked it 2-3 times, then there's the editor who will check it again, and then after maybe they have other check mechanisms. So that level of proofreading is done before it goes for final printing. Why it takes so much of care? Because making mistakes, especially silly mistakes, will ruin the reputation. And you don't expect from somebody who's claiming to be educated. Yeah, some typos do happen, and then the audience also will forgive you for that. But then if it's a mistake to keep doing, then obviously it doesn't reflect well not only on you but also on your organization, and that is like damage to the brand value or to the goodwill of your organization. So let's check some rules when it comes to punctuation, and what are the punctuations we use and what is the right way to use them. I've given some examples. There are more. Maybe at a later date I'll share some more material. Some you can't skip. Some of the punctuations it's okay. You can do without them. Nothing hard and fast. So the first basic full stop or your period. So when you are ending a sentence, you end it with a full stop. For example, he is a criminal, which I'm making a statement. Stand in a single line. It's a command, giving a command. He asked me where I was, asking a question, an indirect question. So you also use it when you're using initials, when you're using somebody's initial, or in abbreviated words. Look at your MLA, MP, UK, USA. For example, AM, PM. So I'm using the full stop here. And when I'm using it in a name or the initials, Mr. Title, J, C, Post, Dr. C, V, Raman. And in places of decimal numbers, 3.14. You're already familiar with this, just a refresher for you. Next is comma. So short pause between words, between ideas, or short sentences. She purchased notebooks, pens, pencils, and an eraser. So small pauses. He is a dedicated, hardworking, and honest person. As we grow older, we should become conscious of our diet. He is poor, yet he is honest. The treaty, as everybody knows, may be signed today. You see how short pauses. The treaty, as everybody knows, may be signed today. Also used in question tags. Nargis is unforgettable, isn't she? Nargis is unforgettable, isn't she? He hasn't come yet. Oh, he hasn't come yet, has he? Used in words of address and or interjections. Oh, she is beautiful. No, I can't solve it. Used in speech marks. She asked, what time will you return? She asked, small pause and then open quotes. What time will you return? Question tag, close quotes. He replied, I will be late. Used during repetition. Try and try again. Come, don't delay. Used when words are omitted. Noun is 25, Sham 18. So is omitted, so I've used comma, so it is understood. Yeah, Sham is also 18. Sham is 18. Following salutations and complimentary close end letters. Dear Sunil, comma. Yours faithfully, comma. While writing an address. Well, comma, South Block, comma, New Delhi, and then full stop. 1903, Rose Hill, Salvihar. Now question tags. Used for interrogative sentences or direct questions. When you're asking questions, always end it with a question tag, question mark. Who invented the steam engine? Open the door, will you? Whom shall we select? Rajiv, Priya. Okay. So instead of saying or Rajiv or Priya, putting a question tag, leaving the answer to the audience. Used at the end of a question tag. You have cleaned the kitchen, haven't you? They didn't call you, did they? No? Exclamation mark. So when you're expressing strong emotions, strong feelings, or you want to amplify the message that you're giving, it could be about extreme happiness, extreme excitement. Examples. Hooray, we won the match. Hooray, we have won the match. Alas, I'm ruined. Some sad incident. So there you're using the exclamation. Oh, what have you done? So interjections followed by the exclamatory mark. Now we look at the semicolon. So you're separating two clauses, or two closely connected sentences. A small separation, so we use a semicolon. The night was dark, separated by a semicolon, it was scary. So two clauses, the night was dark, that also makes sense. And it was scary, so it makes sense separately. But it's adding additional information, so we're using a semicolon to separate that. The hotel burned down. It was the oldest hotel in town, semicolon here. Used when listing names, designations, or places. The nominated members are N. Mehta, Chairman, semicolon, S. Sheshadri, Director, semicolon, and P.K. Sen, President, full stop. Okay, nominated members, so designation or places. We went to Delhi, Agra in 1 week, semicolon. Jodhpur, Jaisalmer in week 2, again semicolon. Jaipur and Udaipur in week 3. So week 1, Delhi, Agra, week 2, Jodhpur, Jaisalmer, and then week 3, Jaipur and Udaipur. Okay. Colon. For a longer pause as compared to a semicolon, so when you're giving examples or you're explaining certain things. The three committees are finance, administration, and HR. Or some figures of speech are simile, metaphor, and hyperbole. Used before a quotation. She looked up and said, I have made a mistake. Used before definition. So we always say definition, and then continue with the definition. Now, name of any person, place or thing. Crow, a black scavenger bird. Hyphen. When do you use hyphen? When you want to combine words, when you want to create some kind of compound words, that is when you use hyphen. Hyphenated words, we call them. So unites words and compound numerals. So 21, 35. Used in compound words. Afro-American, hyphen. Non-European. These are hyphenated compound words. After a prefix before the main part of the word. Anti-government, ex-president, pre-planned. When a word runs into the next line. Draupadi was a very brave and intelligent woman. N dash, a longer form of a hyphen. So any abrupt change of idea or thought, sudden drastic change, you use the N dash. The train journey, N dash, for those traveling on the Vande Bharat was smooth and comfortable. So a break, you're changing thoughts. To indicate length, period, or number. From page 190 to 91. Pages 34 to 48. So using the N dash. Chapter 5 to 10. M dash. A longer dash. We don't use this as often, but it's good to know. So it's longer than the N dash and it's used to set off a parenthetical phrase or to emphasize a point. So it's often used in place of parenthesis or commas. So when you say parenthesis, means you're putting close brackets, or open bracket, close bracket. So this is the option where you can use the M dash, the longer dash. For example, here, example 1, the train journey, M dash for those traveling on the Vande Bharat, M dash was smooth and comfortable. So showing an abrupt change of idea of one. So he lost everything, his job, his family, his home, again, M dash, in the file, uses dash to emphasize a list. For example, he traveled 190 to 191, 190 to 91 miles a day, uses a dash to indicate range of numbers. Ellipses, 3 dots. So more for emphasis, yeah, you're intentionally trying to omit words. Maybe you want the audience or the person who's reading to continue in their own thoughts, something to that effect. So in the distance, we saw a bright ellipsis, a colorful bird. Just for effect, using ellipsis just for used to convey an implied meaning. So I'm not spelling it out. I'm giving it to your imagination. So Salman Khan is the actor who. So I'm trailing off. So ellipsis, I use that for effect in writing. Quotations. Quotation marks. Double inverted for direct speech. He asked, "Where do you live?" Double quotes open and close quotes. Single inverted commas for titles or names. I have read Hamlet. I have read Hamlet. Single quotes. She asked me, "Have you read Malgudi Days by R.K. Narayan?" So double quotes and single quotes, highlighting emphasizing on Malgudi Days. Now, apostrophe. So in case of contractions, so can't, you need the apostrophe here for cannot, because I'm replacing can't with, I'm replacing cannot with can't. So I need to have the apostrophe here. I've had lunch. I have. So contraction again, I, apostrophe, we had lunch. To show possession. It is the boy's bat. Whose bat? The boy's bat. So apostrophe S here. This is Sheila's son. Whose son? Sheila's son. Used in time expressions. I never did a day's work in my life. Brackets. Round brackets separate additional information if you're giving additional information in the same passage or the same sentence. Set in the 19th century, The Three Musketeers, in brackets, that's what is it called in French, is a novel by Alexander Dumas. Square brackets to clarify or modify text. Your demand for a full complement SIC of men cannot be met. So I'm using brackets here. So this is a spelling mistake here. It should be MINT, but the author is not correcting the spelling here because he's quoting from somebody else. That is why he's put SIC, thus. It simply means thus. SIC in Latin, so it means thus. So he's quoting somebody else and he's intentionally not correcting the error. So you use brackets there as well. When you're denoting what is singular and plural, please write the names of the students in the register. So brackets here, names, so multiple names, and then slash. So you have front slash, back slash, so it depends on only when you're trying to separate things. When indicating alternatives, as in please bring your resume and slash or cover letter to the interview. In abbreviations such as CO, care of, C/O, meaning care of, or AC, air conditioner, slashing. When indicating a ratio of fraction, the new car gets 40 kilometers per liter on the highway. Here, the slash. Small exercise. And you use the right punctuation for this sentence. See, double quotes, let's go back, comma, close quotes, said Meena, and full stop. Look at this. Grandfather shouted at the boy, "My kite is gone." Now you see how the sentence sounds without punctuation. Can you correct the punctuation? Grandfather shouted at the boy, "My kite is gone." You understand the difference that punctuation makes? And even if the punctuation is put in the wrong place, the entire context can change. Okay? I called out to him loudly, however, he did not listen. Check the answer. There are other exercises at the end of the lecture. Where you do that quiz, plus, maybe at a later date we'll do some more exercises. So I called out to him loudly, semicolon. However, he did not listen. Look at this. Man proposes, God disposes. Man proposes, colon, God disposes. Many scientists agree vitamin E is a powerful disease-fighting nutrient. Many scientists agree, colon, vitamin E is a powerful disease-fighting nutrient. 6.1. Some gemstones, for example, diamonds, opals, and sapphires, are expensive. So some gemstones, M dash, for example, diamonds, opals, and sapphires, again M dash, are expensive. Get this one. This is the 8th commercial in a row, complaint Sheena. Double quotes. This is the 8th commercial in a row, complaint Sheena. Okay. So we'll come to the end of our session on spelling and punctuation. Reading recommendation for this week. You Can Win by Shiv Khera. Okay. So scan the QR code and do the quiz. As soon as you complete watching this video, do it immediately. Okay.